Today, we're going to dive into a pretty incredible blueprint. It's a plan to take Vietnamese tea from a simple farm product and turn it into a 100 billion dong powerhouse. We're talking about the VietDak strategy, a plan that could revolutionize an entire industry. So let's break it down.
The entire strategy really boils down to this one question. It's all about transformation, right? It's about creating this incredible value from something we see every day and maybe take for granted. How do you actually convince people that a tea leaf is worth its weight in gold?
Well, to really get VietDak's plan, you first have to understand what's called the Vietnamese tea paradox. On one side, you've got the reality. Vietnam is a massive producer of tea, but most of it just gets sold in bulk, unbranded, for really low prices. It's basically stuck in a commodity trap. But then you look at the other side, and the potential is just huge. You've got this rich cultural history, all these unique places to grow tea, and a world that's hungry for premium products with a good story. And that gap between reality and potential, that's exactly where VietDak is aiming.
All right, so how are they going to do it? Let's get into their solution. This is Section 1, the 100 billion blueprint. It's a really bold financial vision, and believe it or not, it all starts with a very specific number for production. The plan kicks off with producing 200,000 kilograms a year. That's 200 tons. But what's really fascinating here is the mix. Look at this. They're not just putting all their eggs in one basket. You've got green tea, black tea, oolong, and then you have these really high-end specialty teas like shan tuet and white tea. So this isn't just about quantity. It's a super carefully crafted portfolio. And that diverse portfolio? Well, it comes with a very deliberate pricing strategy. They're aiming squarely at the mid to high end of the market. Prices here go from 300,000 dong for their green tea all the way up to 880,000 dong a kilo for the premium shan tuet. Every single tea has its own specific place and its own price point. And here's where it gets really fun. When you take that production volume and you multiply it by those prices, you land on the big headline number, a staggering 100 billion Vietnamese dong every single year. That's over $4 million US. This is the massive goal that the entire strategy is built around. But here's the kicker. They aren't planning on stopping there. The whole model is built to scale. The plan shows that if they can just ramp up production to 500 tons a year, that revenue number could explode to $250 billion dong. It's a really clear roadmap for massive long-term growth. So the financial goals are obviously huge, but how in the world do they actually plan to hit them? Well, that brings us to Section 2, the premium product pyramid. This is the heart of the product strategy, and it's what makes all those numbers possible. This is honestly brilliant. It's a 4-level pyramid. At the bottom, you've got your mass market tea bags. These are the workhorses that bring in steady cash. Then you move up to the middle with accessible green and black teas. A step above that, you've got premium oolong, and right at the very top, the peak of the pyramid, you have the luxury high-margin teas like shan tuet and white tea. These are the brand's flagships. It's just a genius way to capture literally every part of the market. And this whole pyramid is built on one core concept, premiumization. It's basically the art of taking a raw ingredient and turning it into a branded experience. Think about the difference between just selling cocoa beans versus crafting those beautiful single-origin artisanal chocolate bars. For an economy that's often stuck just selling the raw materials, this is a total game changer. It's about finally capturing all that value that usually gets lost to big international brands. Okay, now for the part that makes this whole plan so incredibly compelling. Let's dig into Section 3, the anatomy of a 40% margin. How does this strategy actually turn into real, hard profit? All right, let's do a quick run-through of the numbers that make this engine go. It all starts with that top-line goal we just talked about, 100 billion dong in revenue. But of course, revenue is only one side of the coin. You've got to think about costs. So the plan projects that all the costs, and I mean everything, raw materials, labor, marketing, the whole shebang, will come in around 60 billion dong. That's about 60% of revenue.
So you do the simple math there, and it leaves you with a projected profit of a whopping 40 billion dong. Now, that sounds like a really impressive number, but just how impressive is it really?
Well, let's put that 40% profit margin into perspective. Your typical company in the food and beverage industry, they're usually happy with a margin somewhere around 20%. VietDak's plan aims to literally double the industry average. That's what makes this such a powerful financial model. And holding this all together is an incredibly detailed management playbook. I mean, they've got everything in here, from classic business school stuff like SWOT analysis, all the way to modern digital systems like ERP, CRM, and even QR code traceability for their products. This is not just a dream, it's a meticulously engineered machine of a plan.
So the plan is ambitious, it's detailed, it looks amazing on paper. But you know what they say, a plan is nothing without execution. And that brings us to our final section, 5 decisions to make. This is where the rubber really meets the road. It all comes down to these 5 critical decisions for the leadership team. Number 1, and this is the big one, they have to nail down the cost of their raw materials. 2, focus the premium strategy on those flagship Ts. Don't get distracted. 3, get all those digital systems, the ERP, the QR codes, the CRM, set up from day 1. 4, manage the business with data, not just gut feelings. And finally, number 5, win at home first. Prioritize the domestic market before trying to go global. And you don't have to take my word for it. The plan itself calls out the number 1 priority with this quote straight from its own conclusion. Confirm the cost of raw materials. This is the key to the entire profit equation. Everything, the $100 billion in revenue, that incredible 40% margin, it all depends on getting that one single variable right.
So what's the big takeaway here? At the end of the day, this isn't just a story about tea. It's a fantastic case study in creating value. And it leaves us with one last big question to think about. Could this blueprint, this strategy of mixing heritage with modern management and branding, be a model not just for tea in Vietnam, but for all kinds of other agricultural products all over the world?